In today's Origins Showcase video, I'm actually going to be showcasing a Bedrock version of the Origins mod. Essentially speaking, this is what is essentially a port over to Bedrock edition of Minecraft. There are of course slight bits and pieces of changes in order to have improvements and other bits and pieces along those lines. Now this is created by the YouTuber known as 𝓵𝓲𝓷𝓴𝓼. Now the beauty of this mod port, not only does it work on the Bedrock edition version on PC, it also works with the Pocket edition on phones, and if you can figure out a way to get this add-on mod to your consoles, it can also work with the console, the Xbox edition of this game. Pretty much the latest versions of all console versions of Minecraft, as well as the Minecraft Pocket edition, and then the Bedrock variant on PC, it all functions with them, meaning that you can play the Origins mod on all versions of Minecraft that it's at least in the current version. Either way, when you open up a new world with this behavioral pack added on, and essentially speaking, you just need to press whatever button that it requires you to press depending on what you're using in order to control the game, and then just hit the edit dialogue button, and you have all the origins that you can choose from right then and there. All the default origins that you can get in the original Origins mod is also available in this behavioral pack add-on, but with some slight differences. Let's run over them. First off, we have the human-based origin, which is basically your normal Minecraft experience. Moving on to the next one though, as we don't need to spend too much time on that one, we have the 𝓵𝓲𝓷𝓴𝓼. Now in this version we only have two of its abilities. First off, the teleportation. Whenever you want, you may throw an ender pearl allowing you to teleport. Essentially speaking, you've got a permanent ender pearl in one point in your hotbar, and then you've got 𝓵𝓲𝓷𝓴𝓼. You receive damage over time while in contact in water. This of course includes rain like it does in the Java version of this mod, but that is all that gets brought over ability wise for the 𝓵𝓷𝓷𝓴𝓼. Moving into the Merlin origin, the Merlin only has 4 of its abilities been successfully ported over to the Bedrock edition. First off, you've got gills. You can breathe underwater but not on land. Wet eyes, your vision is perfect underwater. Aqua affinity, you may break blocks underwater as others do on land, and fins, you just swim slightly faster in water. Essentially speaking, the way they get around and give you most of these abilities is just by having the conduit power on you all the time. Move on to the next origin, you see we've got the Phantom. Now of course you've got the phasing ability. Now to activate your phasing ability, it actually is a little bit more different to usual. Essentially speaking, when you're walking around, you want to jump up and press spacebar when you're in the air. If you do that correctly, you should transform into your phasing mode. Essentially speaking, the way you'll know that is your hand will disappear on you. You should have the invisibility mirror and then a hunger bar change up as well at the same time, and then all you need to do is jump up in the air and hit spacebar twice again in order to switch back. It's very complicated, but once you get to know it, it's like, oh, that's pretty simple. Also you have to do it in a 3-block high space or higher, because it won't function correctly when you're in a 2-block high gap. The phasing ability works pretty much how it works in the Java version. You can walk through blocks. You also have an increased amount of hunger decreasing, as well as the fact when you're not in the phasing mode, you will burn in daylight, and you also have 3 less hearts overall of health. Another weird quirk with the Phantom origin is when you are phasing through blocks, it doesn't work how it does in the Java edition. Instead, it kind of just like you go into the blocks itself and it takes a moment to move through them. Essentially speaking, this ability is overall worsened by how it functions in Bedrock. Moving on to the Electron origin, you do have the Elytra wings as you do in the previous version, but it works slightly different this time around. Kind of in the same vein as the ender pearl from the 𝓵𝓷𝓷𝓴𝓼, you have Elytra wings permanently locked in your chest slot on your armor. This also does mean that you're never able to wear chest plates whatsoever, but to go with that, there is no form of actual armor debuff other than that. You also get the slowness ability when you're underneath any form of blocks almost immediately. You also are given strength when you're flying around in the air. According to the information here, you take more damage from flying and falling into blocks, and your beautiful Gift of the Wind ability has been successfully ported over, but it acts way different than before. Essentially speaking, every time you're charging, it's full on charge. All you need to do is jump twice in the air and then it will activate that ability. This does mean that you can't just randomly activate it on purpose. A lot of the time you're going to accidentally activate it when you're just jumping around, running around. You're going to accidentally hit the spacebar when you're in the air, then it will immediately activate this ability. It seems to have a slightly longer charge than beforehand as well, and it doesn't exactly activate too well in the air. Moving into the Blazeborne origin, again some more slight changes. First off, you will not spawn in the Nether, you'll spawn in the overworld like every other origin does. The abilities that act pretty much exactly the same as they do in the Java version. First off, your fire immunity, your hot-blooded ability where you pretty much are immune to poison and hunger, and also hydrophobia where you take damage over while when in contact with water. This also includes rain, just like the 𝓵𝓷𝓷𝓴𝓼 one. You also have permanent mining fatigue, and you're also unable to hold shields, and you've also got cryophobia, the fear of cold cold, makes you weaker when touching snow or ice. Moving into the Avian origin, this is probably one of the best conversions we've had of the origin so far. Like, all the other ones have had a lot of missing abilities or weird oddities with the abilities themselves. The Avian has honestly been a very good conversion, aside from a weird addition. Chickens together strong. You become more powerful with every chicken around you, which caps at around 30. Essentially speaking, it's just basically a very small dose of strength that stacks with every single chicken you get given. Moving into the 𝓵𝓲𝓷𝓴𝓼, this is definitely by far the most interesting way they've gotten the abilities in here. So we all know what the ability of the 𝓵𝓲𝓷𝓴𝓼 is from the normal Origins mod. Essentially speaking, you have the ability to climb up walls like they're ladders, as well as the whole web thing, but the wall one is what I want to focus on. The difference here is the fact that instead of it acting like you're climbing up a ladder, the way that this has been crafted is to make it so that you get given both levitation and slow falling when you're quote-unquote climbing up the blocks. So it's very, very weird how it functions. It can often lead to circumstances where you aren't even able to climb up the wall whatsoever, because let's say there's a block of gap in between the ground and where you're actually wanting to get to the wall on, and sometimes instances where you could be able to climb up 2 block air gaps when you're already climbing and act like nothing actually happened. Either way, everything else is roughly the same as normal. To use your web ability, instead of hitting mobs to give it to them, you just have to shift beside them, and basically when you shift beside them, the web will spawn on them, and then your ability has a short cooldown. But overall, it's roughly the same as before, aside from those key differences. Moving on to the Shulk origin, again, this is roughly the same as the one that's present in the Java edition, aside from one thing, the Shulk inventory. Now, of course, this ability had to be transferred over regardless of how it had to be done, mainly because it's like one of the main things of this origin. So how did it get done? Now, essentially speaking, when you load in as the Shulk origin, you will notice that there is a bunch of stars that are continuously following you. I didn't realize it at first, but when you right click on the start of the stars, it's actually your inventory spot that you get for the Shulker. Ultimately, a really cool and creative way of getting it to function in the Bedrock edition of Minecraft. So props to the creator of this origin for that one. But as stated before, the rest of the abilities are roughly the same as before. And moving on to the last origin of choice, we've got the feline origin. Of course, this one is roughly the same as it is in the normal Minecraft version, with not too much of a difference added, aside from the fact that you gain a jump boost while sprinting instead of what the ability normally is. As well as with creepers, you'll follow them around as they'll run away from you, but the moment you hit them, they'll actually turn around and explode upon you. Anyhow, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. I was trying to get to 100k before the end of 2021. It'd be highly appreciated if you help us to get towards that goal, as well as make sure to smash the like button down below if you haven't already. It's also really helpful, helps the video do better, so it'd be highly appreciated. And also a massive thank you to my channel members, my $10 member 𝓵𝓷𝓷𝓴𝓼 especially, as well as my other collection of channel members. Either way, until next time guys, goodbye!